Merry Christmas. Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and Merry Christmas. It's nearly Christmas, and we're on episode 25 of Berserk. And that stupid black box is back again. It's so weird. And hopefully my dogs are not going to act crazy for this reaction, but they've been kind of a little bit on edge this entire day. The wind's blowing outside. The winds of winter are coming in. They've been on edge. So if they bark and are rambunctious, I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, we're on episode 25. You better believe there's some booze in this cup. Not a lot, but there be some bourbon cream in here to get through this one. I feel like I'm going to need it. So yeah, we're on episode 25 of Berserk. The good news is, I don't feel sad because I have nearly 10,000 pages of manga that are awaiting me once this episode is done. So my Berserk journey is just beginning after this episode, and I hope you all are in for the ride because I have no freaking clue about the manga. Nothing. Not a hint, not a clue. Nothing is going to prepare me except it's really, really long, and I know there are 14 volumes created before Miura passed. So that's all I know. Literally it. No clue. Gonna be the blindest of blind reactions, and I'm so excited. Again, like I said, they are gonna be at the least bi-weekly. I think they're not going to be week to week, unfortunately. I need time to edit, need time to record. I don't know how long these things are going to take. I'll know when I record the first volume, which will be after this. So by the time we finish the first volume of the manga, I'll have an idea of how long those reactions are going to be. They could be like 3 or 4 hours. I don't know. They could be really hella long. I mean, it took me literally an hour to get through a volume of manga of Attack on Titan, and that was already knowing the story. And also, it was only like 250 pages. So this is like 3 times that much. So yeah, these could very well be like 3 to 4 hour reactions for the manga. I hope you're okay with that. Just maybe them being bi-weekly will give you time to watch them. I don't know. I'm going to try to find the English outtakes of the dub for this when this episode's over. So I'm going to react to that. And I feel that anything else that's recommended, I can't watch everything Berserk related right now. Obviously not. I want to get into the manga, but maybe along with the manga, if there's like little short videos that I could watch along the way, or if people have recommendations as we go through it, then I can screen those with the mods and see if I can talk about them with the manga reactions. We'll just have to wait and see. But I know a lot of people have requested the dub outtakes like I did with Neon Genesis, so we'll do that in this one as well. But oh my god. So I talked a lot last episode about Griffith, about him choosing to become king. Griffith's like, I've always wanted to become king, and no two-timing man is going to make me change my mind. Sacrifice them all. What do we do? So I think that's fun. The big question now, they all have the brands somewhere on them. Casca quaintly gets it on her armor because she's a lady. She doesn't get her skin blemished by such things. Casca has it on her armor. I don't know if it's on her actual heart or not. They put on the armor as insignia. Maybe it's burned through to her skin. We don't know. But I do think it's interesting that they all have these brands, and we know that Guts gets away, and he still has the brand, so he's being hunted. So the question is, who else is going to potentially get away with Guts? Is anybody getting away with Guts? Are they all going to die except Guts? Where's Rickert? I'm going to ask that question until we find out in the manga, I'm sure. But yeah, no clue. But in any case, I am really excited for this episode. I have no clue what to expect. Obviously, we know. I don't think it's going to come full circle. Maybe it will. Back to where episode 1 starts. Maybe it's going to show Guts at the end, like on the ground, you know, Rocky Horror style at the very end of that show. And he's going to be like, gets back up on his feet and heads towards the castle. And that's what's going to happen. We don't know. We don't know exactly how much time has passed between Griffith becoming king, which we know he will, and the events of episode 1. So that's going to be fun. And I know, the only thing I know about the manga, except that it's long and 14 volumes were created, is that it starts in a different place than the anime does. Now, whether that means it starts, you know, episode 2 with Guts being a kid, or it starts somewhere completely different, I don't know. I don't want to know. I want to go in blind. So we'll find out. But I've moved stuff around in my office, and now the manga is sitting here on this side of the room waiting for me to open it up maybe next week if I get to it and see how long this is going to take, dear God. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So I don't have any comments to talk about. I figure any comments I get for the last couple episodes and this one I will take with me to the manga. So if you are wanting answers, then you'll have to watch the manga reactions, or at least the first 10 to 20 minutes of it, right? But I definitely want to give a huge shout out over to Patreon. I have finally gotten to the point where I can give a shout out to Patreon because it's not recorded too far ahead. To thank you all so much, especially the philanthropy tier. A lot of the funds that I use from Patreon have helped me buy the equipment to look at the manga. It has helped me to buy copies of the manga because them deluxe volumes ain't cheap. And so because of you all and your support, I am able to do manga reactions for this series and get the equipment to do so. So I'm really appreciative of that. So I want to give a special shout out to our philanthropy tier for this week to thank them for their support. We have Alex Cornejo, we have Anime Annie, we have Anna, we have Ashley Got Snow Bitches, we got Be Happy, Dana, Destiny Marie, Edgar, and Eric. We have Kiri, we have Matthew Palfinier, we have Nameless Monster, we have Sunspots, Shimoyama, we have Trails, Translucent Men, Tyrone, Zakiel, as well as Lyndon, Jimmy Lujan, as well as Aku Q and Lexi McDaniel. Thank you all so very much. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. This black box. I mean, worst case scenario is just a bunch of boobs. Right? Or best case scenario, however you want to view that. I am so glad I'm not going into this sober. Although I worry about the discussion, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Y'all, I don't know, but it's time to rip the Band-Aid off. It's time to open Pandora's box, get out Schrodinger's cat, and just see what festive fun Berserk has to round out the series. What if everything was solved? What if everything was solved and got better? What if Griffith said no to being king? What if he completely went against his character that's been like this the entire series and said, no, I think I'm going to hang out with Guts and Casca and them. See ya. What if all this didn't happen? What a time to dream. So, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right into episode 25 of Berserk. God help us. And see what we get here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see y'all on the other side. That was a terrible idea. Nope, gonna chase that with some coffee. Mama needs some more booze to get through this discussion. You all knew. You all knew when I walked into this series. You were like, oh, wait till we get to this episode. Oh, I can't wait to talk to my brother. I can't wait to talk to my brother. I don't know if my brother's read the manga. I really don't. I feel like he has. I feel like my brother has at least read part of the manga because he alludes to that. Just him being like, what? I also brought chocolate, white chocolate. I can't have regular chocolate. I'm allergic to cocoa, so I can't have regular chocolate. But I have some white chocolate here that I'm going to need to get through this episode discussion because what the actual fudge? Well, you know what they say. No guts, no glory. Oh, man. Sweet, sweet, sweet nectarine. I have thoughts. I have lots of thoughts. I have lots of thoughts about this episode. And about the events of it. If we didn't have that last little moment of Godot, I'm glad Godot's alive. Glad he's still kicking. If we didn't have that moment of Godot reforging the sword for Guts, and Guts making his move, making his way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and he's homebound. If we didn't have that moment of Guts getting a sword and being like, all right, I'm going after Griffith, who I don't think is Griffith any longer. No, I don't think so. I think Griffith has merged with whatever demonic presence those demon lords were trying to summon. Griffith is the main sacrifice, and the rest of them all just feed into him, which we'll talk about in this discussion. But I think there's a part of Griffith that's still present in Felto, Felto, the demon lord, the demon king that has spawned. Which is funny because they say Felto or Falto. We'll go back to the episode, but then the people in the town call him King Griffith, and I don't know if that was just a mistake, a continuity thing. I don't know if it's just a continuity thing for them to say in episode 1 so that we, the audience, know that it's Griffith, even though it's now he's got a new name, Felto or whatever. We'll see. Or if that was just the manga, or if the mangaka is going to explain the manga. I have 10,000 pages of manga to read now! Oh my god. Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to say this in the description of the video down below, as well as I'm going to put a big thing in the front at the start when I'm talking about the bloopers. I am not going to watch the dub outtakes today because I went into Discord to find the link to the dub outtakes, and they're 40 minutes long. I thought it was going to be like Neon Genesis's outtakes. Neon Genesis, their outtakes are like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, I'll just tag that 2 minutes on the end. And then I went to go get the link, and the person in the Discord was like, so this is like a 40-minute video. I think it was Moon. They're like, this is a 40-minute video. And I was like, ha. So here's the thing. I have a feeling that this giant-ass book that is volume 1 is going to take me a bit. Okay? This is going to take me a bit to get through. We're going to do it. Parental advisory. We're going to get through it. Good thing I don't have any kids around that can read it. But this is going to take me a bit. So they even give you a bookmark because they know it's going to take you a bit. It's going to take me a while. So next week is going to be the outtakes. I'm sorry if you wanted me to dive straight into the manga. After this episode, I'm going to need a minute. And I want to gather up some of the comments from YouTube and Patreon. So that's what I'm going for. So next week's going to be the outtakes. We're gonna have a little festive fun, round out the year, end the year off on a high note with some outtakes. And then we're going to start 2024 with the manga. Hope you're okay with that. That's how it's going to be, because that's how my brain is going to process after this episode. So I'll have a little thing down below. I'll probably have a community post on Facebook, on YouTube. I'll have a community post, and I'll put something on Patreon as well about it. But I'm utterly speechless. I don't know where to start. I'm sad. I'm disgusted. I'm horrified. I'm also not surprised. I don't know where to start, so I guess we should start with the fact that Guts chopped his arm off to try to get to Griffith and Casca. So as far as we know, Casca's alive, maybe, although that existence, I don't know how I feel about that existence. We're going to talk about it. Casca, she could be alive and with quote unquote Griffith. Don't know how that's gonna work. We're gonna talk about that and that whole scene at the end there, because what a scene it was. And then as far as we know with Guts, he is arm and eyeless, and he is on a mission to go find Griffith. My brother said this line way back several episodes ago, because I was like, all I know from episode 1 is that Griffith betrays Guts. And my brother laughed at the dinner table. He laughed. And he goes, betrayal isn't even the word for it. He's like, betrayal is not a strong enough word. He's like, there's no. And that's all he would say. And at the time, I was like, well, what do you mean betrayal doesn't cover it? Now we know. Now we know. And we're going to talk about it. But he's on a quest to find Griffith and essentially Casca, right? Meanwhile, we're going to put Griffith over here and talk about his, we know that he is now a demon king. So that's a fun time. We know now he's a demon king. Now, does he become the king of Midland by just wrecking shit and taking it over? Probably. But that's what the manga is going to tell us. So we're going to find that out then. And then R.I.P. Damn Pippin. Pippin as the puppet was overkill. That was not needed. That was not needed. We saw him get tackled by those monsters and supposedly ripped to shreds. What do you mean he came back and was just a puppet? I hate that. That's gross. Corcus is likely dead. I think they showed him inside. Yeah, they showed him inside the mouth of that one beast. He was dead. We'll talk about him. Judo. Judo had like the best death. He, died saving Casca, or so he thought. And then at this point, I am fully convinced now that we know how all these other creatures like mutilated all these soldiers and everything, either the fairy took, I'm going to put question mark by Rickard, because either the fairy somehow took pity on Rickard and like just took him off to be a snack somewhere and then changed its mind, or something happened. Either that is the case, or Rickard being a child or being a younger individual, the mangaka didn't want to show us his death, so they just had him killed off screen. But the mangaka has shown us like some crazy deaths so far, which have included children. So I feel like that's not the case. Like, why? I feel like they wouldn't have just killed him off screen, never to be seen again. I feel like he's going to show up in the manga somehow. Now, he may be dead when he shows up in the manga, but I feel like they're either Rickard is going to be dead in the manga and it's gruesome and they didn't want to show it in the anime because he looks like a kid and the censorship, or, censorship, or he has a part to play yet in the manga and we don't know about it yet, and it's just going to come out then and there. I can be patient. I can wait. It's fine. I'll be good there, but man has no control even over his own will. What a laugh, right? What a laugh. What a laugh, because in the end, the funny thing was he did have control and Griffith made this choice, right? So the funny thing is, we put up here in the theme that the narrator is very cynical, and the narrator has the little phrase that always ends with, man has no control. Man has no control even over his own will. The funny thing about that is that yes, there are a lot of circumstances that once they get to a point, they are no longer able to be controlled. And this is a prime example. Once they got to this precipice, once this seance started, once this cult action started going down, yeah, there wasn't a lot they could do. These monsters were stronger than them. But the fact of the matter is, the whole thing that set off this entire ordeal was the fact that Griffith chose to become a Demon King. Griffith chose to merge with whatever this thing is, or be reborn as whatever the Demon Lords wanted him to be. He chose it. It was his choice. And Guts was like, why would he do this? And we spent, an hour and a half last week talking about why Griffith would do that. But it was Griffith's choice in the end, and he made that decision. It was his free will that allowed this all to conspire. And so, yeah, that's the irony of it. It's like, yeah, people do have free will, but then they make these choices, right? And so we get confirmation that Casca, the brand, went through the armor and into her heart, which, of course it went to her heart. Of course it did. These little demons in the painting drawings, they kind of looked kind of cute with their big old round buggly eyes, but then they get really gross real quick. So it's like, nope. And everybody just getting devoured. And Casca asking, why are we here? Why are we here? And the funny thing is, because they chose to be there. That is the outrageous thing of it all. It was Griffith's decision to sacrifice them all to become Demon King. He made that choice. He's now with it. That was all of his. We'll talk about him in the pit as he's sinking deeper into the pit to be reborn as the Demon King. He made that choice. And the thing about it is that all of these characters, they're like, how did we get here? Why is this happening? And it's the result of their choices. It's all a matter of their choices leading them here. They chose to follow Griffith, and by choosing to follow Griffith, they chose to join the mercenary group, to join the Band of the Hawk. They chose to fight in the Midland Army. They chose to do this. They chose to do that. They chose to branch off and go after and find a way to rescue Griffith. They chose to rescue Griffith, and they chose to lead Griffith away from the castle. All of these decisions, and it is impossible for them to have known at the time that those decisions would lead them to this point. That's impossible for them to know. How could they have? No one would have guessed that. But that's kind of the cruel irony of it all, is that by their own free will, they have led themselves to this point, and by Griffith's own free will, he has decided to sacrifice them all. And this entire scene is the result of their actions plus the eclipse plus everything. It's a perfect storm and stars aligning to be this horrible thing happening. And it's just the worst, right? And Guts is like, So the thing of it is is that they say that the brand on you means that you are a sacrificial offering and that they will be able to find you, come after you, and that you are going to be food for the life of our beloved unborn child of darkness. Now, the unborn child of darkness is now the child of darkness. It's been born. It's been reborn. Griffith has been reborn as this demon. So because of that, the brand is still there and it's still haunting Guts. I'm assuming it's doing the same with Casca if she's alive. So that's fun. But, oh my God. I'm guessing they just let him go. I don't want to know how Guts got out of there because I'm sure the manga is going to tell us. They had to shorten this thing up and get it wrapped up real quick. What an ending! If they didn't have that final, like, post-credit scene, could you imagine watching this and then getting to the end and being like, oh, well, lesson learned. What a moral story. I liked somebody in the Discord, which I don't blame you, person in the Discord. I don't blame you for asking this. You wouldn't have known. But somebody in the Discord, like back when I was at episode 22, they were like, oh, hey, are you going to read the manga after this? Like, or are you just reading it on your own time? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to react to it. Could you imagine if I just stopped? The completionist in me is like, there is no way on earth I am stopping. There is no way. The completionist in me could never. I'm like, what? Could you imagine just stopping at this point and then being like, well, that was a fucked up anime. Could you imagine? I can't. No, there's no way. I'm so glad there's the manga, and I'm so glad there's so much of the manga, because that means there's so much story that I have no clue about that we're going to get to encounter. It's going to be great. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, poor Guts. He's like, well, I'll get you out of there soon. He's trying to like, and I like that it's the hand, like it's the fingers he's trying to snap at. And it's just, it's all, the hand has closed itself around Griffith and become this little cocoon for him to become the fifth finger. And they're like, oh, your efforts are so futile in this manner, right? It's not going to work. This is all dictated by his will. He's the one who has the final word. And for Guts, he's like, no, shut up. He's like, that's not possible. He's like, the Griffith that I know wouldn't choose to do this. And that's the thing. It's the Griffith you know. But the Griffith that Guts knew was not the full picture. Guts wasn't seeing the full picture. So then he gets to see inside and see this little cocoon around Griffith, and it's like slowly like transforming him into the demon, right? It's transforming him into the Demon King. Like he's gonna have the wings come out of him and everything, and that's what he wanted. And Guts is just like, I like that Guts just looks there and he's like, did you really choose this? And I'm glad that Guts doesn't give up. He's like, no. He's like, I'm not gonna sit around and become fodder for my bestie. That is not gonna happen. He's like, I'm gonna keep fighting. Nope. Not gonna take this sitting down. But then poor Casca, oh my God, it is, oh. And everyone's sacrificing for her. Like Pippin sacrifices himself for Casca. Judo sacrifices himself. I'm so sad that Judo died. I thought Pippin was gonna die, because let's be honest, Pippin didn't say like 3 words this entire series. He was like a red shirt from the start, like a really big red shirt. And I was like, he's gonna go. But I was like, I was really holding out that Judo would get out of there. But no. Judo like held them all together to the very end. And I'm kind of glad Judo didn't get to see what happened with Griffith and Guts and her, because I think Judo would be mortified. And oh, it's so sad. But yeah, poor Pippin sacrificing himself to get out of there. And then Judo, she's like, we can't leave him to die. And Judo's like, if our commander's alive, then it's not over for the Band of the Hawk. That you can still go. And I don't know if that's going to become foreshadowing for later on. Like, Guts didn't hear that, obviously. So that's the problem. Guts never heard their conversation. So I don't know what's going to happen with Casca. I don't know what her character was going to happen with her. I'm terrified of what's going to happen to her, if I'm being honest. I'm like, I don't like where this is headed. Is she going to have, like, Griffith's baby or something? I don't want that to be the case. Please don't let that be the case. I don't want her to have demon babies, especially not with Griffith. Ugh, no. We'll talk about that later. But, of course, my dogs freak out now. But, yeah, Corcus. And I honestly didn't expect Corcus to die either. I thought when Corcus got slashed by the one demon and fell down the pit, I thought Corcus was going to escape. I thought he was going to make it out and get out of there and then live to fight another day, but no. Mm-mm. It's so interesting because there is a character in Attack on Titan, and this doesn't really spoil anything truly with the story, but Jean Kirstein from Attack on Titan, Quercus reminds me a lot of him. If Jean had made certain character decisions, I feel Jean's character is based a lot off of Quercus in some ways, because there is that idea that both Jean and Quercus had this idea of wanting to achieve an easy life to escape the hardships they had been through. And that's kind of a plot point for both of their characters. And so a part of me, when Quercus is like going through the motions and being like, this is all a dream, it was reminding me a lot of Jean's character in Attack on Titan. And I was like, okay, I can see where Isayama drew the inspiration for his character from Quercus. And so for a second you think, oh, well, Quercus is going to live. But here's the thing. The moment the characters start having these dreams and they're like, oh, when I open my eyes, it'll all be over. And the moment he saw the blonde, like, apparition of the nude girl, I was like, oh, he's dead. Like, that thing's going to turn out to be a demon and swallow him whole. And it did. It did. Also, I'm going to just say, and I'm going to probably say this a few more times, but, and I know that this manga is going to deal with it. I can already see it coming because I watched Game of Thrones. I know Game of Thrones deals with it. It's something I'm going to have to just go size and feminism. But the full frontal nudity and then the rape culture, it's here. It's present. It's going to be something I'm really going to have to deal with during these reactions. And it's going to be something I have to, like, personally find a place of, if I don't talk much about it, it's because, one, I don't want to perpetuate that anything regarding that is okay. And when we get to Griffith, it's like, it is very much not okay. And I'm going to say some things about that when we get to it, but it's just like, I know Miura's a man, fine, but I don't want to hear anybody bitching about full frontal male nudity in yaoi if we have full frontal nudity with women in this manga. I'm not saying anybody does, but I know that on social media and stuff, there's a big comment about yaoi being like, oh, it's two dudes and you see their dicks. And it's like, well, you see this lady's boobs an awful lot too. What do we do with that? So, but yeah, the moment that Quercus, like, goes to her and, like, nestles into her bosom and it turns out to be this monster and he's like, damn it. It's like, yeah, you're dead. Like, Quercus meets his end, like, pursuing that lust after an easy life, and it kills him. But God, Judo, Judo went down fighting so hard. He had his arm bitten. He had tendrils snap through his chest. And I was like, at first, when the horse got bit in the foot, I was like, well, why is it just now biting him? But it was one of this freaking, I realize now what the demons remind me of. And of course my dogs are going to freak out, so I'm sorry. But I realize now what that demon reminds me of. The demon that bites the horse, it reminds me of a demon in Devilman Crybaby. If you've not seen Devilman Crybaby, again, fun, messed up stuff. But if you've not, it's present in that too, right? Present in that as well. But poor Judo. The thing that attacks Judo, the thing with, like, the yin and yang and the two tongues coming out and the eyes on its chest as well as its head, the design of that thing is really freaky and cool. I like the design of it. It's probably my favorite demon in this whole episode. Like, design-wise, it looks really neat. I like it. I hate that it attacks Judo and stabs him with its tongues and kills him. And the thing that's so interesting is that Judo, like, gets on top of her to protect her. And there is something, I think, I don't know if Miura is meaning it to be symbolic in the way that I take it, but there is something about the way in which you can compare the way that Judo drapes his body over Casca to protect her, the way Guts has done the same for her, the way Pippin essentially does the same for her as well, and you compare that to Femto, aka Griffith, and what he does to her, and that correlation, that contrast of these characters that love her, truly love her, that try to shield her and protect her. And then you have Griffith, who is just, we'll talk about that scene. But yeah, there is a correlation there. And it's just like when she puts her hand up on his face, it's so sweet. And then she, like, puts her hand there, like, to comfort him. And he pulls it out and they both kill the demon together. And it was his last knife. And she's like, you're going to come with me to the end. And she's like, you're going to take responsibility for what you said, and we're going to get out of here together. And him saying, I've always been all talk. I'm like, no. I was like, for once, Judo proves he's not all talk. Like, he saved her. He came through. And then he's like, I thought I was at least pretty articulate. But it looks like I missed my chance. And I wondered if he was going to say that he loved her. I wondered what he was going to say to her. Like, if he was going to try to say something to her, but instead he says, you cry a lot, you know. I don't think Judo was ever romantically attracted to Casca. I never got that impression. He just cared for her like a sister. I feel like Judo was just like the caretaker of all of them. And for him to die, that gutted me. Like that death was a nail in the coffin. I was like, at that point, I'm like, oh, we're screwed. If Judo didn't make it out, we are doomed. So, okay. Here's my thing. Casca tries to defend. And they're like, we're going to eat her. But before that, they're like, we're going to have our way with her. Why? I'm going to say, going into the rest of this episode and going into the manga, I'm fully aware, because I watched Game of Thrones, like I said, and I've watched Devilman Crybaby, and I've seen series where this happens, but it's very difficult to talk about, but I myself am a victim of sexual assault. So, with that being said, this episode was really hard. It was really not easy. And it's one of those things that I don't talk about it with my brother or my family, anything like that. It's kind of like you all know before they do, so congrats. But it's really hard. And it always frustrates me that male authors use it as a narrative device. Like, you could have just had her in the air. You could have just had her in the air. You could have just said that they were bringing her to... You could have made it work where they were bringing her... You could have had her up in the air. Like, you didn't have to strip her of her clothes, but I get it. I get it. It's stripping her down to bare bones, right? But you didn't have to do it, but I get it. You could have had Griffith do it, because that's essentially what he does later on. You could have saved it for then, right? But just the idea of it, it fetishizes it to a bit, and it just, I don't know. There is a precedence and a mentality that comes with scenes like this, that if you don't think this is not disgusting and wrong, there's maybe a problem. But my thing is, like, and when I say size and feminism, I don't mean that it shouldn't happen. It should happen to guys instead of girls. But I'm like, my thing is equality, equity, equality. If you're going to have a scene like this with a female character, then you also need to show it with a male character. And not that I want scenes like this, I don't. But I think it sets a precedence that it's okay for female characters to be in these situations, but we don't see a male character like that either. And I could see some people arguing, well, Corcus was in that situation. No, his face was in a woman's boobs motorboating it, and she ate him. There's a difference, you know? There's a difference. So I don't like rape culture in literature for obvious reasons. And I feel like, as I'm saying this, a lot of people are going to be like, well, you're about to dive into 10,000 pages where that's probably going to happen a lot. And I understand that. I'm just saying, don't expect me to be like, the whole time. I will probably just be like, why is this happening? Why do we have this? Now, the scene with Griffith and her has significance, and it makes a point, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. I'm saving it for last because it's a whole thing. But the whole thing with the demons being like, they've ate every other soldier, and there's men and women demons, there's female and male demons there's demons with boobs, there's all this stuff. So I'm like, for them to eat all the other male characters in the Band of the Hawk, but then when it gets to Casca, they're like, oh, we're gonna rape her before we eat her. But they did nothing like that to any of the other characters. I'm like, what was the point? You know, like, why'd we have to do that? But they're demons, so I get it. You know, it's frustrating. And so we come back to Griffith, or Guts, who's trying to like barrel his way through, and the female demon, the seductress there, she says the more powerful his vitality is, the more precious he will be for the new life to feed on in the darkness. And then we see like this damn, like we see the egg again, like as Griffith's being formed, they're like, sweet dreams, our newborn apostle. Yeah, and we see like Griffith becoming this thing, like it's just slowly transforming him into a demon, right? With the wings. Your entire being is built upon Griffith's dream. So here's the thing. This thing, their new apostle, this new little demon king, was fed, and the foundation for it was Griffith and his dream. So yeah, they've been waiting to find someone like Griffith who had this unshakable dream. They're like, we need to find somebody who shines as brightly as Guts described him. We need somebody who has an unshakable dream that they're willing to sacrifice all of these people around them to achieve. They're like, because, you know, we talked about last episode, Griffith had the choice. Anybody else could have been like, oh no, I don't want that. No, I'm going to choose my friends. I'm going to choose my family. I'm going to choose love over the darkness. But that wouldn't do for the demons. They waited until they found just the right person, and Griffith was just the person they were looking for. And they're like, your entire being is just built on Griffith's dream. So the question is Griffith even alive? Or is now Griffith kind of like a symbiote, and it's like taken over it's using Griffith's body as a vessel, and now it's just like latched onto Griffith and become part of him. They've like combined together to become this being. And like the heartbeat of it all, when Griffith's dream dies with him, you will finally open your eyes. So yeah, that's the thing. We get the idea that when Griffith dies with him. So when Griffith's dream dies with him, that's when Femto is born. And I don't even know if Guts realizes that Griffith is technically dead at this point. Like once that thing has used Griffith's body as a host, it's taken him over. It looks like Griffith in the face. That's all that's left. But it is, you can see the wings, you can see its body, you can see it's like Griffith has transformed into the demon, and Griffith is no more. Now, the question is there a sliver of Griffith left inside? I guess maybe we'll find out. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think Griffith is no more, and it's now this thing. And so then we see Griffith, he's like, I feel my body is sinking, and it's sinking deep. Speaking of which, and he's like, I can feel the deaths. I can feel the deaths of all of the other soldiers. And he's like, their deaths pierce through me, but I don't feel anything. The men that I killed because of my desires. It's strange because I don't feel it anymore. I'm just sinking. So that leads me to believe that there is a chance that Griffith might be buried in the soul of Femto. There might be a chance that Griffith is still deep, deep, deep within him. But the chances of that coming out, I mean, that seems like an in-game manga sort of scenario. And they're like, the last tear you shed, when a person suffers so much that he's almost torn in two, his heart freezes. And it becomes the Behelits. They're just splashes. Splashes spilling from one ocean to another. I love the explanation. A droplet of the future summoning you from the other world. So yeah, that's so cool. I love the description of what the Behelits are. The Behelits, we find out, the Behelits are droplets of the future. They are basically made from tears of those fallen, right? They're made from tears of those fallen who become in this state like Griffith has. And the Behelits, they seek out people to summon back. So basically, it's like, if you are worthy of the Behelit, then you're worthy to become a demon king or become a demon. Basically, that's kind of the idea. They're like, if the Behelits found you, that means you're like them. You're like-minded. So it is like a beacon. It's like a honing device, right? That's so cool. I love the description of that. And we know that the fiend, the Thief Lord, he has one. So it's tracked him out. But yeah, so poor Guts. Guts just in like he just falls into the blood, into the pit around him, and like poor Guts, like Gaston, he's from around Zod, isn't he? Wasn't he from around Zod's time? I really want Guts to meet Zod now and be like, how'd this happen? Zod's like, I warned ya. I feel like Zod is Tim the Enchanter from Monty Python. He's like, I warned you. Oh, but you thought it was a little old rabbit, huh? You thought it was a wee bunny. I'm like, oh, I'm waiting to see Zod again. I need to see Zod again. And then, oh my God, this shit is so messed up. Like the faces are all crying. Griffith's about to be reborn as this demon. And then it's like his head explodes and out pops this thing just like freaking aliens. Like the thing, I will never look at Star Wars and the little thing in the swamp again. At that point, I was freaking out because I was like, what if that thing can like swim up you like a parasite and then burst out of you? Nope. I'm like, that was so messed up. I was like, nope. And then you see Pippin being manipulated by this one thing that looks like the demon that was around when Rickert was there. So it looked like it's the same demon that was around Rickert. So I don't know what the case is. I don't know if Rickert's alive or dead. I don't know if the fairy ran off with him. I just don't know. It's all a big question, right? Oh, I know. Dogs. So yeah, and then poor Guts. Not only does he see Gaston and Pippin, but he sees all the soldiers. Their armor. You see Corcus. His head stuck in the mouth of that one. He did. See all the troops there. Yeah, and then of course, he sees poor Casca. And that's when he sees the monsters there. And it's bad enough that Guts is like, how dare you? And that one demon is about to like violate her with its like pointy, it's like gonna penetrate her with its stupid like pointy finger thing. I'm like, that's so disgusting. How dare you? And Guts can't do anything. But then you think, oh, well, the Demon King is born. We're totally saved. It's fine. Our latest kin to wear the crown of evil. The wings of darkness. Like just, hey, has all these great titles. And you think, oh, well, maybe Griffith will save them. No! Griffith has to do something that would make Guts, who literally fought tooth and nail for him, want to kill him. And boy, does he. Boy, howdy, does he. We'll say the wings of darkness. Femto. Femto. There we go. That's who it is. Not Felto. Femto. Femto is born. Femto is the new king, and he has this like shiny demon bat-like body. Of course, it's the helmet of the Band of the Hawk, and all you can see is his beautiful face under it, right? He's this beautiful mauve magenta color, purple being a color of royalty. Nice. And Guts is like, the fudge? And then, yeah. The fact that, like, his neck comes up and it just, like, it's like a little baby bird, like, coming up from the blood and everything. Now, the thing of it is, when he raises his head, it's just like, you can't see the face there. It's just like a caw. But then it's almost like the face is a distraction. It's like the face isn't real. The face of Griffith is just... The face of Griffith is just an illusion. It's just there as a placeholder because it has no expression. So when it raises its head, you see its like mouth opens like a baby bird, like a pincer, but there's nothing underneath it. So the face is almost like an illusion. It's like a trap, right? Because it cries, like it lifts its head up and cries, and then its wings spread out. It has its feet and everything, and then it flies over there. And then when it lands, it has Casca. Or no, it lands in front of Guts. Of course it lands in front of Guts. And its face has like come down and it looks like Griffith underneath the face. Now the question is Griffith's face even there, or is it just part of Femto? Is Femto even, you know, what do we do with that? But it says nothing. My question is, can it even talk? Because it doesn't say a word to Guts. Not one word is said to Guts, which is one of the creepiest things about it. Because I thought that whenever Griffith became the demon, he would be able to talk. But no, he doesn't say a word. That's the question. Is he going to be able to speak? How does he become king? How does he take over things? Does he have like a mouthpiece that speaks for him? Is one of the other... Are the other 4 demons just going to follow him around and be like, hey, let's take over the world now that you're here? And he's going to be like, okay. And they're going to speak for him? I don't know. But he has these wings and everything. I mean, the drip is great. Loving the look. But the thing about it is that he brings Casca over to him. Right? And, like, brings her to him. Now, the question is... You know, how much of this is Griffith and how much of this is just Femto? Because, you know, he's violating her and Guts is not happy about it. And the eyes just stare at him. So, here's the thing. I'm sure that some people in the comments are going to be like, this proves that Griffith is straight because he rapes Casca. I'm going to be like, okay. I'm going to stop you right there. Him sexually violating Casca does not mean that he likes Casca. He is doing it to spite Guts, is what he's doing. Because what has happened is, and this, again, is a question of how much of this is Femto relying upon Griffith's despair? How much of this is Griffith himself? And how much of this is just the demon? Right? Because, hell, I mean, in the one sense, if it's just Femto could just be a demon. We've seen these other demons sexually assault Casca, so Femto could just be another one adding to the mix, where he's like, oh, yes, a lady. I'm going to have my way with this lady. And it just happens to be the one that Guts loves the most because she's the only female there. Could be that. Could be that. Could be that it's Femto preying off of... Because if Griffith's dream... and his dream dying and everything is in the recesses of Femto's mind, then part of that is going to be that part of Griffith's despair is knowing that Guts and Casca got together. That Guts and Casca got together and he was no longer a part of either of their... Because before, you know, Griffith was like, oh, Casca loves me. She'll be my sword. She'll do anything for me. But now that she found Guts, it not only was the fact that Griffith no longer had that sword of Casca by his side, and she wasn't loyal to him anymore, but it was also the fact that Guts, who was his sword, was no longer loyal to Griffith entirely. Now he had Casca. So it could be that Griffith is paying back. He is paying back Guts by taking the woman he loves and violating her. To be like, this is what you get. This is your punishment for leaving me. It's like, it takes, you know, the idea of a rebound to the most vile and disgusting layers of Griffith saying, oh, you left me? Oh, you left me? You know what that felt like? Let me show you what that felt like. Now, of course, Casca being involved in all this is freaking disgusting and disturbing, and she has no right to be involved in it. But Griffith doesn't care. And if that even is Griffith, it might be all Femto at this point. We don't know. Regardless, he just stares at Guts. And then, as Guts is like, what the fudge are you doing? Griffith, like, goes to her and makes the move. And, of course, she's like, Griffith, is that you? You're alive? And now her eyes widening when he kisses her. Here's the thing. She, one, does not have a good reaction to it. And two, he's just, it's almost like it's instinctual. Like whenever he was kissing Charlotte, and he had that same exact look on his face when he kissed Charlotte. Did he love Charlotte? No. Does he love Casca? No. But is he trying to, like, one, it is a question of, is it just Femto being instinctual in this moment and thinking this is what he is supposed to do? Or is it Griffith taking it out on Guts, being like, well, you took what I wanted, now I'm going to take something from you. You took my love and threw it away, now I'm going to do the same thing to you. And then he like tries to like take her and embrace her and everything. Guts is like, what the fudge? You didn't like her at all. Leave it alone. I feel so bad when Guts is like sitting there stabbing his arm, trying to get at it. Oh, I hate it. It sucks so much. And he's like, I'm gonna have to cut my arm off to get out here. And the idea that as he's cutting the arm, she's like in the throes of everything. And they're just watching. The other 4 demons are just watching. And as he's mutilating his arm, chopping it off so he can rescue her, as he's doing that, then Griffith is just violating her. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. Oh, it's so disgusting. And there's no sound. It's just, yeah. Because she's not happy about this. And Guts is like, how dare you? And he goes after him. And then all Griffith does is just stare at him. That's why I'm like, I don't feel like Griffith is alive anymore. Because I don't think, would Griffith even be able to stand this? Because I don't think that even Griffith in his darkest hour, as much contempt and jealousy as he seemed to show towards Guts and Casca being together, I can't see Griffith being totally on board with this and doing this to Guts. Because again, that's not part of Griffith's dream, right? Griffith's dream wasn't to find a lady and settle down with her, and Guts took the only lady available. That wasn't his dream. So I don't feel like this is entirely Griffith, but I feel like there is a shade of Griffith's subconscious that was mad at Guts being with Casca, and so this is Femto taking that shade and going, oh, well, I'm evil now. I'm an evil demon king, and so part of me being evil is taking these things you like and violating them. So part of him, like, to show us, the audience, that Griffith is no more, it's Femto. To show us that the idea that Griffith and Guts can be together, nope. To show us that that little kumbaya moment is gone, Mira's like, I'm going to show you that Griffith is now a demon king, and he is a villain. And the worst thing he can do is to take something precious to Guts and completely violate it. The sad thing about it is that Casca gets no say in all this. She's violated too, and she's the one that, you know, the sad thing is at one point she wanted to be with Griffith, but not like this. And she'd gotten to the point where she didn't even want to be with Griffith anymore. And it just, God, it sucks. It is a sad thing, and I feel so bad for Guts because he has to sit there and watch this. And she's trying to like get away, and it's not working. And Griffith is paying no attention to her. He's looking at Guts. Femto is looking at Guts, being like, you see what I'm doing? Do you see what I'm doing? I'm getting back at you. Do you see this? Like, if Griffith cared at all about getting with Casca, he would have looked at her once, but he didn't look at her. Nope. And she's like trying to get away, and oh, I hate it. I feel for Guts so much. And then the one lady's like, oh, it's so beautiful how it moves me. Love, hatred, torment, pleasure. Oh. Yeah, life and death. All at once before our eyes. So the idea of love and hatred. Love and hatred. Torment and pleasure. Life and death. It's basically the death of Griffith. The death of Griffith could be the death of Casca, and definitely death of part of Guts. Like, part of Guts is going to die in this moment. Like, the idea of what he once felt towards Griffith is gone. I'm sure he wants to help get Casca back. Oh, all at once before our eyes. The beauty of man and evil. Oh my God. And then Guts. And then, yeah, and then Griffith just stares at him. And that's when that thing, like, and Guts crying. He's like, how could you do this to me? How could you betray me like this? You not only betrayed me, but you betrayed Casca. Like, how could you violate her? Because part of Casca's thing was that the first time Griffith met her, she was nearly being violated by this man, and Griffith taught her how to use a sword so she could defend herself. Like, that Griffith would not have supported this. So no, this is Femto. Griffith is no more. And maybe Griffith is buried deep within Femto, but This is Femto, the Demon King. This is not Griffith anymore. Only the problem is now he has Casca, and Guts is like, and her crying too. Like, she clearly, not about this. Oh, I hate it. I hate Guts. Guts just staring back at him, and that's when that demon, like, pierces his eyes. Oh, I hate it. Nope. Oh. Yep. And that's the end of the episode. Isn't that fun? Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? That's where the episode ends. And that's where the episode ends. So, my question is, how the hell did Guts get out of there? Did they just let him go? I'm assuming Griffith, I don't know if I want to call him Griffith anymore. I might just call him Femto. I'm assuming Femto just grabbed Casca and was like, I'm taking the princess off to another castle, Mario. Come get her, bitch. And so that's what Guts is gonna have to do. He's off on a quest to find Femto and to find Casca if she's alive. I don't like the idea of Casca possibly being a sex slave for Femto. I don't like that at all. Not a fan. Personally, not a fan. But I don't know. I'm not the creator of this series, so obviously, we have a lot of the manga to talk about, right? But the idea of life and death all in front of us, the beauty of man and its evil. Definitely put up here, like, the God, Isayama had to have taken so much inspiration from this series. Yeah, the beauty of man and how beautiful it can be in the throes of passion, but also how evil it is when it's not genuine. Right? I swear, though, if anybody in the comments tries to tell me that Griffith and Casca are enjoying that time, I will personally, like shoot daggers at you Judo style through the screen. I don't know how else to say it. I'm so fearful of those comments. Because that's not the point. The point of him violating her is to show Guts how futile it all is. I didn't even eat this. But I'm going to now. Get some nice caramel in that. Not bad. Y'all, I need this sugar. I need more coffee sans booze because I've had enough. Next week is going to be the bloopers because we all need some happiness to round out this year. I feel like to round out this year we need some happiness. And then starting in 2024, guess what, bitches? We're going to start the manga. Start the year off right. That'll give me some time to kind of experiment and see how long it takes me to record a volume of this manga. I have a feeling it's going to be a while. So we'll see that next week. And it'll also give me time to look at your wonderful comments down below. Right? I think so. But, y'all, I thought, if I could have told you how I thought this series was going to end, I thought it was going to be this big battle. But I honestly thought that Guts was going to run away. I thought Judo, Casca might have got out. I figured Corcus and Pippin were going to die. I thought maybe Corcus would try to challenge Guts or blame him for what happened or whatever. That didn't happen. I thought that maybe Guts would just get away. I thought maybe there was a chance that Guts would get separated from Judo and Casca, which he kind of does. And then I thought we were going to end the series. But as this episode was going on, I'm like, well, Guts is so antagonistic against Griffith, aka Femto. There has to be something more to it. There is! Surprise! There is. But now, it makes sense going back to episode 1. It makes sense why, a couple things, why he gets so mad at the guys for assaulting the maid. Because now he's seen, I want Guts to remain our feminist icon and be like, screw y'all for assaulting these ladies. Cut y'all down. That explains why he got so mad in the first episode. it also explains why when he had the Thief Lord down, he was like, well, the world is pretty damn cruel. We're going to stand up for ourselves and show you that humanity is not going to be beaten down by you demons. That all makes sense now, too, because the demon lords have been mocking humanity all throughout this episode, being like, oh, you simple humans, you're just fodder for us demons. You're just food for us, and you're just toys for us to play with. And so Guts is like taking this personal vendetta against the demons to be like, no, this is how humanity is. Now, what's going to be fun is if we find out from Zod that Guts is part demon. That will still be pretty fun, because then it will challenge that whole notion of what Guts thinks of himself versus Femto and all that. But I did not anticipate that ending being that. Let me tell you. Didn't see that coming. So, happy days, right? In any case, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm gonna go enjoy some Christmas festivities and then come back next week with the bloopers. Hopefully my dogs will be as excited as I am, and we can watch some outtakes and just talk about the comments and laugh and laugh next week. That'll be great. So that's what we're gonna do. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back real soon with more Berserk. Bye.